way from Providence, Rhode Island, in the Minute with Mary studio. Welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and time turners. Let's step into that night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and I want to let you know, Marvin, that this chapter has one of my favorite transitions ever in Harry Potter.
Oh.
Such a cool moment that it was almost like it was written for the screen as opposed to the book. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Like, it's, oh, man, just A-plus stuff. Like, when I read it, I could see it. I could feel it. I got goosebumps just reading it. And I was just like, yep, okay, we got it. I just, oh, man, good stuff.
It is a fantastic and wild chapter. We talked in the most recent podcast episode about how it was a bit of a shorter chapter, not a ton there. Whereas this chapter, we've got everything. Everything and anything goes on. This, of course, is chapter 26 in Order of the Phoenix. Seen and unforeseen. If you haven't read this chapter in a little bit, here's your quick wee bit of a recap. This is when Harry gets to chat with Hermione, figuring out what went wrong on his date with Cho. Because, of course, while he was on his date with Cho, he had his interview with Rita. And that interview comes out in the Quibbler. Everybody and their mom, even Seamus's mom, has read this article, okay? And they are believers. There is drama with a capital D taking place at Hogwarts because some kids' parents are Death Eaters. All the kids are pretend they're not reading it. Trelawney gets sacked and Dumbledore goes, not on my turf. She's staying here. Firenze the Centaur is hired. Oh. And to top it off, you got a smattering of some wackadoodle occlumency with Snape having his memories show up, and holy smokes, we're getting inside that open door.
Man, it's a flood of information in this chapter.
It's a ton.
Yep, so that's just crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to get into it, my love?
I sure am.
Let's get it done.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
All right. I already did my mini chapter.
Oh, yeah, you know
recap.
what? We didn't do the quote. That was the problem.
Okay, I'll do it backwards. I will do it backwards.
Not that we haven't done this podcast a million times.
It's all good. I just, I like to keep us on our toes.
Yeah.
My quote, just because I think it's so interesting, and we're going to be leaning into it, is,
Okay.
you could kind of tell Professor Trelawney, tears streaming down her face from behind her enormous lenses. You can't sack me. I've been here 16 years. Hogwarts is my home. Oh, Sybil. And I like this one for a variety of reasons because Hogwarts is a lot of our favorite characters' home, and a lot of them have been here for quite some time, and I think that a lot of our Island of Misfit Toys friends really feel like Hogwarts is this special sacred place, which just continues to feel odd and foreign and where people don't fit. And of course, it's really important for us as we're going through this occlumency, as we're trying to get into the Ministry of Magic through Harry's dreams, to know that this is really all because of Trelawney. This is all something she said 16 years ago. And this is wild. So we're just getting these little bits, which right as of now, if you're a brand new reader, don't make any sense whatsoever.
Right. Remind me, Mary, I don't know if she is aware, but is Umbridge aware that Trelawney was the one who made the prophecy? Okay, I didn't think so.
Nobody really knows.
Okay, all right, great.
Snape overheard it.
Right.
And like Snape knows, Dumbledore knows. Trelawney doesn't even know what she said.
Right.
No.
Right. Okay, I wasn't sure. And the reason why I wasn't sure, the reason why it's interesting, because if she did know, then it's like, she's
if she did know, then it would be really, really bad.
Right.
Yeah. No, Umbridge isn't that smart. She's only a Slytherin.
Whoa.
Not great, Bob.
I don't think I can
Okay,
let
her
you.
ambition gets in the way of her brains.
I don't think we could let you slander the
all
good name
good.
of Slytherin.
Okay, already did it. My Hufflepuff friends are.
they're
cheersing me
cheering
right
right
now.
now. Yes. So Mary, should I pay off that tease about my favorite transition?
You can go for it, Blake.
Or should we just start from
pay
the
it
beginning?
off.
All right, we'll pay it off. All right. I love this. Here it goes. The week did not improve as it progressed. Harry received 2 more D's in potions. He was still on tenterhooks that Hagrid might get the sack, and he couldn't stop himself dwelling on the dream in which he had been Voldemort. Though he didn't bring it up with Ron and Hermione again. He didn't want another telling off from Hermione. He wished very much that he could have talked to Sirius about it, but that was out of the question. So he tried to push the matter to the back of his mind. Unfortunately, the back of his mind was no longer the secure place it had been once before. Get up, Potter. A couple of weeks after his dream of Rookwood, Harry was to be found yet again kneeling on the floor of Snape's office, trying to clear his head. He had just been forced yet again to relive a stream of very early memories. He had not even realized he still had most of them concerning the humiliations Dudley and his gang had inflicted upon him in primary school.
Now, why did you love this transition?
Because, like I said, it felt like it was written for the screen. It felt like
Take us through this thought process.
there's no context to it whatsoever. There's no tease. There's no like information that's lending itself towards, oh yeah, Harry is finding himself in these occlumency lessons with Snape and something is going down. Like there's no lead up to it. It's like when it almost reminds me of the film itself when Harry is in the lessons and Snape is there and he appears in the mirror and he's like, I think I might vomit.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
Yes.
It's just like that, but done in a way that when you're reading it, it still makes sense and it's still just as effective. And you don't normally have these kinds of transitions from like, you know, the stage setting to all of a sudden instantly being just thrust right in, and once you're thrust in, then you get some context. It's so effective because it puts you into position as Harry, not understanding like, wait, what? What do you mean get it? Did I just miss a paragraph? Like I remember I read it and I was like, wait, did I miss something? Like that doesn't make sense. And then I put it together internally, and I just love that feeling that you get when you have to look back on something and say, oh, okay, I see what happened there. Love that feeling because, you know, like, you know, sometimes when you're reading, you're kind of just like, you know, you're just kind of reading
And then you
words.
realize 2 pages have gone by and you didn't
And you're
follow
like, wait,
along.
what did I just do? It's just great. It's great. I remember I had that same kind of reaction too when #spoilers Ned Stark is killed off in Game of Thrones. I read it and I was like, wait, did I miss something? Like, oh no, that happened.
That happens.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So that was why I love it. Was just so in your face and right to the point, and it puts you right in Harry's shoes with no warning or anything. Oh, so great. And even the words, just get up, Potter. You can hear Snape say that.
Oh, yes.
You can feel what that feels like. Great stuff. Great stuff.
I agree.
What a great way to like transition too, right? Because they had this whole thing with Harry and Ron, and they were talking about Rookwood, and they were talking about Voldemort, and that's how did they get the weapon, and then like
obviously it's completely on Harry's mind. As much as he's trying to download and get this stuff out of his brain,
yes,
he's not really able to stop.
right.
It is a giant mystery that, let's be real, he's not communicating on Dumbledore with a regular, so he feels like he needs to figure this out. He wants to,
Right.
because a lot of the times he's feeling glimpses of what Voldemort's feeling, so he wants to know what's behind the door. He wants to know the answers to all of this.
And I think it's apropos that you brought it up, Mary, that, you know, in this chapter, Harry looks at Dumbledore thinking, oh, I think he was just looking at me, like listening or like waiting for something to happen. And then when Harry looks his way, Dumbledore's in the middle of a conversation with Flitwick.
You want to know, That because it was during the Quibbler. It was when the
Oh, was that
Quibbler
the Quibbler?
came out. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it was when the Quibbler came out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And everyone's in the Great Hall talking about the Quibbler. Harry's getting a million letters. Umbridge is mad at him. All this stuff. And yeah, he looks quickly at Dumbledore, who he felt like was looking at him.
Yeah.
But then Dumbledore looks like he's in the middle of an intense discussion. And our boy wasn't in the middle of an intense discussion.
No way.
So I bet you he was like, Flitwick. Like he quickly jumped into it. He knew how to make Flitwick lean in and feel, oh, okay, this is something super important in a millisecond.
Yeah.
Well done, Dumbledore.
It shows that kind of control that he has over his own,
over
the
staff,
command of the situation.
Yes,
Right.
yes. My goodness gracious. It's creepy, and it goes to show you, like, he does. He's got a pulse on a lot more things than we give him credit for, and then a lot of things that he doesn't have a good pulse on. Let's talk a little bit about this article that we talked about that came in. This is what causes the flurry of all the owls coming in. Harry never really gets correspondence, so for the fact that he's being sent all these owls causes things being crazy. Umbridge comes over and complains, and I loved that Fred was like, oh, this isn't part of is getting the news, is reading the news now a problem?
Yep.
That's not in your jurisdiction kind of thing. And then she ends up banning it, which Hermione says is the best thing that you could do.
Right.
Brilliant. The student body figures out how to bewitch the Quibbler.
Oh,
so that it looks like their textbooks.
I love that little detail too of the poster in the common room where it was like, oh, it was great at first, and then it just started talking. It just started saying random words like Umbridge and dung, and in an increasingly higher pitch.
Obviously,
Great
all of
stuff.
these little spells, they have their. And this is one of the things that I love about this chapter. As we said in the beginning, it is big, it is chunky. There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
But throughout it is the wee magic. I mean, we started off talking about Quidditch and talking about how practice was and how terrible things have been going now that Harry and the Weasley twins aren't on the team. And we even have a Quidditch match where Ginny tries to salvage what she can.
Yeah.
So we get this magic. Harry isn't doing the fun stuff. He's actually not even enjoying it even on the sidelines because they're being terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But we get these little glimpses of the bewitching, the headless Weasleys while they're doing this trick that Hermione kind of admires a little bit. We get the poster in the common room.
Mm-hmm.
We get these little magical moments to keep the levity of this story going, to keep the world building, even though this is a really heavy, chock full chapter. We've got more detention with Dolores, thanks to the paper. And then we have this really crazy occlumency lessons that are happening where Harry is reliving all these childhood traumas, comes to find out that Snape had his own fair share of being bullied and having trauma as a child, which 15-year-old Harry, God bless him.
From his dad, no less.
Well, it's not clear that it's his dad in this chapter.
Yeah, but
And eventually.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in this chapter, no matter what, it's just like, wow, he was bullied too. And he had a crappy time too. And Harry's hatred of Snape is so strong that he can't even sit down and say, oh, this might explain something.
Right.
Well, we have something in common. Nor do we see that from Snape being like, wow, his life sucked.
Yeah.
And actually continues to suck.
Yeah.
And I know that he's a lamb primed for slaughter. Like, come on. Where's your ounce of humanity? In this conversation, did you notice that Harry said, oh, it's my job right now is to keep an eye on these Death Eaters? Or no, he says, do you think that's your job? And Snape stops for a moment and says, yes, it is my job to know what the Dark Lord and all those people are doing.
I got it right here. Perhaps you'll actually enjoy having these visions and dreams, Potter. Maybe they'll make you feel special, important. No, they don't, said Harry, his jaw set and his fingers clenched tightly around the handle of his wand. I just want to say, this is all I could think of was you in this point.
Why?
Oh, my God. No, like,
Fingers.
no, they don't. Your jawline is set and your fingers are clenched tightly around the wand and everything, like you're just ready to pounce. He says, that's just as well, Potter, said Snape coldly, because you are neither special nor important.
Which is kind of like what he said to Sirius
Yeah.
a couple chapters ago.
And it is not up to you to find out what the Dark Lord is saying to his Death Eaters. No, that's your job, isn't it? Harry shot at him. He had not meant to say it, but it had burst out of him in temper. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Harry convinced he had gone too far, but there was a curious, almost satisfied expression on Snape's face when he answered. Yes, Potter, he said, his eyes glinting. That is my job.
There is a curious, almost satisfied look on his face.
Yeah.
Snape is able to be like, oh, I don't have to lie.
Yeah, true.
Potter wants to know, jokingly, but yeah, that actually is my job.
Yeah. And now he can actually say it and make it look like it's in jest, but like not.
No, I actually am the VIP. I'm the
Yeah.
queen of the chessboard. You're welcome. I
Um,
love that. I love that. Looking back on it,
yeah.
knowing and having that expression on his face,
Mm-hmm.
that he gets to have that sense of importance, but he doesn't get to share it with anyone. While he puts down Sirius, while he puts down Harry, while he puts down everybody, you don't do anything. You're not important. You know nothing. Snape knows everything
Do you think?
and seems important to everyone. He seems important to
Yeah.
Dumbledore, to taking care of Harry. He seems important to the Death Eaters and to Voldemort.
Sure, sure. Do you think Snape says these kind of phrases like "you're not important, you're not special," because he thinks that he is special, like he thinks that he is important, or is it something that he believes of himself because that's what he was made to feel all of his life?
Both.
Oh man, that's some good fence sitting right there. You got to have a take.
Okay,
Mary.
Blake, then what's your take?
Oh
If
no,
it's
no,
not-
I asked
No.
you.
Yeah, and my answer is both.
All right, well, why do you think both then?
Because I think that a lot of the times the way that you're spoken to and the way you're treated is what you regurgitate onto others.
Sure.
The way you're raised, the way you're treated. Bullies are often people who've been bullied in the past. People who are wretched human beings are often wretched human beings because that's how their parents spoke, either to them or about other people.
Sure.
So that's the vernacular that they grew up learning
Yeah,
with.
right.
Then also, he has felt poopy, just poopy, about himself and hasn't felt important. And so for the first time in forever,
Oh,
he finally understands, and he is, in fact, important. Like I said, on both sides.
Mhm.
Like both people. If there was a VIP, like trophy,
Mhm.
you know, like the MVP in the Super Bowl, and you know when you're watching the Super Bowl, you're like, okay, if this team wins, their MVP is going to be this person.
Yes.
And if this team wins, their MVP is going to be this person. I'm telling you, both Dumbledore and Voldemort would be like, obviously Snape. When we win, he's going to be the VIP.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
Snape feels like poopy.
No, I'm saying Snape felt poopy his entire life, and now he's both teams' VIP.
It's just pooper.
Just poopy. Like, but now not just poopy. Now he like hears the Harry Potter anthem. I'm Harry freaking Potter.
Oh yeah, sure. No, I got you. I got to find it though.
And when he walks into Malfoy Manor and people are like, who just came in? I'm Severus freaking Snape. Like, that he feels like there needs to be a theme song for him.
Harry freaking Potter.
Wow, I was pretty close to that key.
you were, that was pretty good.
Yeah. It's, it's like I've heard the clip a million times. So I just, you know, when you have not been given TLC and love and praise, and then you finally are,
Mhm.
and you are told that you are important and you are needed, feels dang good. It feels very powerful. And I gotta tell you, the Slytherin in Severus Snape is Slytherin and hard.
Mhm.
The ambition of like, I get to be both teams VIP.
That's what she said.
That's right. Slytherin and hard. You're welcome, Blake. Another very popular Slytherin in this chapter that we need to talk about is Rita. Rita freaking Skeeter.
I can't get over
Ladies and gentlemen,
That
I work
was
with a
so
13-year-old
funny.
boy.
it. Oh.
So Rita
man.
Skeeter, who writes an amazing article that I wish we had access to. You know, I have Quidditch Through the Ages. I have Beetle the Bard
Yeah.
with Floppity Moppity, okay? Babbity
No.
Rabbity.
Rabbity Bab.
You know what I mean? I've got all this stuff. And what I want is the flippin' newspaper. I want the Quibbler with the dish. I want to know how Rita added her own personal FLAIR
Mm-hmm.
with that gorgeous pen, even though she wasn't allowed to use it, but you know that she did.
Yeah, of course she did.
She doesn't AI this, okay?
No.
Not ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is nowhere near to be found, Rita Skeeter.
I wish I could have read Harry's personal recounting of the graveyard with Rita's tenacity.
Yep.
Love to know that she's getting all these people. Like, you're going to actually tell me names? Yes.
It would be a fun little, I don't want to say a novella because it wouldn't be that long, but it
No.
would be a fun thing to put out in like the Wizarding World.
Yes.
Like maybe you could get it at the Wizarding World in Florida,
Mhm.
right? Like, or you could find a way to get it at the Harry Potter store. Like that'd be cool to have.
Yes.
Like you could hang it up or whatever. Like that'd be fun.
Were there pictures? Like, I know that there was a picture of Harry, but I just, she is amazing at what she does. She
Yes.
wrote so much trash about Harry. Now here she is giving his story. You
Mhm.
know she had a rabid fan base.
Yep.
And now she's able to do this.
Right.
How many people did this powerful, ambitious
Oh.
Slytherin
Yep.
just impact? How many people's minds did she just turn into questioning what's the truth? Maybe they don't full out believe Harry Potter,
Yeah.
but maybe now they can question because they can think, if Rita wrote this.
Yeah. Like, I love reading her stuff.
Yes. And she's so good with manipulating the words. So obviously she doesn't change the truth.
Mhm.
But what emotion is she able to pull? Or did she pout and write it very stoically and flat?
The way that there seems to be a real response to it,
Yeah.
like I think the author did a great job in showing you the effectiveness of the article in a way that made sense to Harry.
Did she wrote with the eyes of
Oh yeah, of a 12-year-old boy.
Yes.
14.
Harry Potter, age 12.
Yeah. 14.
He goes back in age. Harry Potter, age 9.
Yeah, I think in a way the author does this great thing where she allows you to see the success of the article through Harry's eyes, and that of course is via all the owls, and even Luna saying, "Oh, Dad's republishing. Like this is the first time since whatever. They're even more interested in this than the
Purple horn snorcats.
Yeah, right. And then how up in arms Umbridge is over this article.
Before even reading it.
Right. And
she is that upset.
even having Seamus be like, "Hey, I believe you, and I'm going to send this to my mother." Like, and this is the kid that in the previous chapters was like, "Oh, my mom said this, and I believe my mom, and my mom blah 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 blah." And for him to even take a stand and be like, "Yeah, no, this makes sense. I'm going to tell my mom." That's a huge deal. I think, at least again from Harry's eyes, and I think having it from that perspective, because Harry moves this whole chapter, it serves that need to the right extent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Why do you think Umbridge is so affected by this article? Like, it'd be one thing.
Once again, she hasn't even read it, and she gets this effect.
Yeah. So, like, why? Like, I get it. Like, I understand that she's upset that he did something without her knowledge.
Because she hates Harry Potter. He's getting all of this news.
Mhm.
He went out and said something that she's been trying to crush and quell all this time. And yet he has been able to share his story to the masses. This is a child who she sent 2 Dementors after half a year ago.
Good point.
So are we really surprised that she's this upset that he went to the press?
No, probably not.
I'm actually surprised that it's only a week of detention.
Oh, yeah, right? Holy smokes. Didn't even think about that.
Yes. No, this is a woman who is out to silence Harry. And like I said, hadn't even read it yet.
Sure.
But the way he just casually tosses it at her, like I think the
Oh
word is
yeah,
he
he tosses
flexes it at her.
I think he said he tossed
Yeah,
it.
just like, oh, I told my side of the story about what happened, when Voldemort came back, and just tosses it at her.
Right, right.
Boom. What you gonna do
Crazy.
now?
Yeah. And
That is a complete Gryffindor move.
oh yeah.
Like, you are going to get in trouble.
Mhm.
No doubt.
When I read this, the phrasing of he tosses it at her, I was like, "Oh." Right? Like cuz that's a very distinct word choice. It's not like he just kind of like you said, Mary, flicks it or hands it over or
even tries to hide it. Oh,
Yeah.
I did something,
Yeah, no, it's like it's out there. He's looking at it. It's
Mhm.
almost like his feet are up and he's got his hands behind his head and he's just like, "Yeah, okay, here you go." And casually tosses.
Mhm.
Like you don't toss things like you can't toss something in a respectful manner, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I mean, I suppose you could throw
Toss
something
a
easily.
softball.
Like you can like kind of but like
Hot potato.
but the act of tossing something isn't a sign of respect. It's something of like almost like a royal salute.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do, Blake.
So I like that choice of wording. And I think the author does this really great thing also too, where she's able to highlight the rebellious nature of all of this, but in a way that isn't so like in your face. It's like, yes, she just used the word toss, but it's more like Umbridge's actions are the thing that starts to undo her, right? When you start to censor people, that censorship can and often does lead to like
A revolution.
like straight up. I mean,
Yes.
that's quite literally how the Soviet Union fell, like how it started. Like they were just like, yeah, no, we're gonna stop. Like everything stops, and then all of a sudden, there was this moment where like, oh yeah, there was a newscast, and this a Russian reporter was or a German reporter was like, oh yeah, the border between East and West Germany is now open. And it was all done by mistake. I'm sorry, it was a Russian diplomat who had never been on TV before or whatever. And they're like, yeah, the border's open. By total mistake, should never have said it. And then everybody flipped out, and that's when the Berlin Wall fell.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the honest to God truth.
Yeah.
There you go.
The power of the media.
Yep. I'm going to go let our dog upstairs. Hold on one second.
Okay.
You can take it from here, my
Okay.
love. Just
One of the
speak to
things
it.
that I especially loved is that after the Quibbler came on out, which you knew all of the faculty were reading, all of the students were reading it. I wonder how many of the faculty were asking the students, hey, can I? Well, I mean, they probably have their own owl subscriptions, but like how sneakily would they have to get it? Because you can have the owls delivering the Quibbler to your table at the Great Hall. Anyway, that aside, I love how the teachers were rewarding Harry in their own little secret ways, giving him little candies, throwing extra points to Gryffindor House, knowing that what he did was fighting the good fight, and knowing that he's also going to be getting detention, being punished. But it's their way to silently stand up and say, we appreciate you, we see you, keep it up. Keep it up, Buck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the teachers giving little candies and treats.
Oh yeah, like again, that's another little insight into rebellion. You know, like this. I really like what the seeds are doing, how they're starting to germinate. You know, as we approach the 3/4 mark of this book.
Yeah.
It's such a interesting way that Hogwarts, the building itself, is fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
The faculty is fighting back.
Interestingly enough, the newest faculty member that gets announced at the very end of this
Oh.
chapter, of course, Dumbledore is just like, oh, you're going to sack Trelawney? No worries. She could still stay here, and I've hired a centaur. because that's going to just ruffle Umbridge's feathers even more. And there's been no educational decrees saying that he couldn't hire someone. It was she would hire them if he couldn't find a suitable replacement.
Oh, I love this whole exchange. Professor Umbridge was standing stock still, staring at Dumbledore, who continued to smile benignly. And what, she said in a whisper, carried all around the end.
Go for it.
Just the way that this is written.
I know.
And what, she said in a whisper that carried all around the entrance hall. You can just feel that, like, carried.
Everyone is holding their breath. Everyone is waiting to hear what is said.
Yes.
So much their own breath, their shuffling, their footsteps, their murmuring has stopped.
Oh, it's awesome. Are you going to do with her once I appoint a new divination teacher who needs her lodgings? Oh, that won't be a problem, said Dumbledore pleasantly. You see, I've already found us a new divination teacher, and he will prefer lodgings on the ground floor. You've found? Said Umbridge shrilly. You've found? Might I remind you, Dumbledore, that under Educational Decree number 22, the Ministry has the right to appoint a suitable candidate if and only if the headmaster is unable to find one, said Dumbledore. And I'm happy to say that on this occasion I have succeeded. May I introduce you? He turned to face the open front doors, through which night mist was now drifting. Harry heard hooves. There was a shocked murmur around the hall, and those nearest the doors hastily moved even further backwards, some of them tripping over in their haste to clear a path for the newcomer. Through the mist came a face Harry had seen once before on a dark, dangerous night in the Forbidden Forest. White, blonde hair, and some astonishingly blue eyes. The head and torso of a man joined to the palomino body of a horse. This is Firenze, said Dumbledore happily to a thunderstruck Umbridge. I think you'll find him suitable. Oh! Oh, yes. Oof, excellent stuff. I think you'll find him suitable. Like, Dumbledore always has got this angle all the time. Oh, yeah, no. Don't worry about her lodgings. We're going to be all set. We got it taken care of. Yeah, you can fire her, sure. But she don't got to go. Oh, man.
One other thing that we have completely skipped is all of the issues with the poor bloke at St. Mungo's and Rockwood and all these little instances that we're talking about, and piecing names and people together. And then, of course, coming to the conclusion with Malfoy, with Lucius Malfoy kind of being at the head of what happened in the Ministry in the past, what is continuing to go on. Mm-hmm. So all of these names of people that we maybe have met in passing or maybe we've just read about are starting to congeal and come together.
Yes, absolutely. One other thing, Mary, I want to talk about too here is, as much as I've praised the author's writing in this chapter, there was this one point where I was reading it and I was like, "Oh, that's an odd beat." But I wanted to hear your thoughts. Snape opened his. I'm sorry. Can you tell me something, sir? Said Harry, firing up again. Why do you call Voldemort the Dark Lord? I've only ever heard Death Eaters call him that. Snape opened his mouth in a snarl, and a woman screamed from somewhere outside of the room. Snape's head jerked upwards. He was gazing at the ceiling. What the? He murmured. Harry could hear a muffled commotion coming from what he thought might be the entrance hall. Snape looked around at him, frowning. Did you see anything unusual on your way down here, Potter? What I find odd is the term screamed. I didn't, maybe it was from the film, maybe that is coloring my interpretation of the eventual scene, but I didn't get a scream feel from it. I got more of a wailing feeling from it. If like, there's a difference, right? Like, screaming to me feels like horror, and wailing feels like drama. Do you appreciate that difference, number one, and do you think that's a fair assessment?
I do. Screaming, I would agree, often means pain, fear, and if we're supposed to believe that this is Trelawney's screams, then if it's a scream of, ah, or is it screaming, yelling? is she drunkenly screaming at Umbridge. We heard a woman scream.
Yeah, and a woman screamed from somewhere outside the room, and that was it. Like
So
that
it could have
was,
been like, no.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But do you feel like that
So
is
I
within
see it
Sybil's
as-
character to scream
Yes.
like that?
Drunk on cooking sherry, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
If you're about to be kicked out of the only home you have
Mm-hmm.
by a person who's stressed you out to the max, yeah, I'd do it.
All right, yeah. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in this chapter, my love? I mean, we do have a
Just
hard
major
out
props
here.
to poor Ginny Weasley, who's been learning how to play Quidditch using different brothers' wands when they didn't even know. And yet she's the one that goes into play professionally. Snaps to Ginny.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
That
And
shit-
like, why do you think that they prevented her from playing
I
Quidditch?
knew it was Molly because she was so young. While they were home, while they weren't at school, if they were like 7 years old, then they would have been home, but then she would have been 0. So, or really young.
Yeah.
So Molly would have said, keep your sister away from the broom. No babies on the broom. Like that was probably what she said every day. No babies on the broom. And that's kind of what they grew up. And that's probably
No
what they would
babies
say
on
to
the
Ginny,
broom.
every summer. And here she is, like 12. Hey guys, can I play? No babies on the broom.
Yeah.
And I think they just busted her about it.
That might be our new shirt.
Okay.
That might be our new shirt.
Babies on the broom. Good.
One other thing I was actually thinking about, and I want to take it back to the beginning of our conversation here, Mary, and that is about Snape's reaction to all of this and how you're not special, you're not important. I can't get that out of my head because it feels, it just feels so personal. And not in regards to Harry necessarily, but in regards to himself. It just feels like...
Wouldn't this be like the worst thing for someone to say that any Slytherin? Isn't this how you like hurt a Slytherin's feelings?
Certainly.
You're not special.
Like, yeah,
You're not unique. You're
yeah.
not even like important at all.
Yeah, like no one cares about you.
We can replace you.
Yeah. Because that by very definition is the antithesis of what a Slytherin at least would consider his or herself to be. I mean, let's be honest. You can't replace Pansy Parkinson. It just can't be done. Other than that, I mean, we'll see. But no, part of me feels like, because you even brought it up too, Mary, like Snape saw how crappy Harry's life was, right? And in turn, we eventually find out how much James kind of really tortured Snape in his way. And I just wonder, do you think Snape refuses to give in to any change from Harry? Right? Like if he refuses to give in to like the idea that there is something inherently good about Harry, because then that means there was something inherently good about James.
Well, here's what sucks, is that Harry hates Snape. It's not like Harry's going in being like, hi, sir, you have misconceptions about me thanks to my dad, but I'm a different person, and I appreciate you. No, Harry goes in is like, I hate you. I think you're a jabroni. You call him the Dark Lord. You messed up. You suck. I can't believe I have to spend time with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, you're going to learn that there's bad things, but let's be real. Like, if there's people in your life or in history that you hate and you find out, oh, they had this sad little upbringing. Oh, wow, they still suck.
Yeah.
They're still a terrible, horrible person.
Good point.
Like, if we were like, oh, Hitler was bullied when he was 12 and, like, his aunt used to have her dog chase him around.
You're going right there, Mary.
I am. Okay? You're not going to be like, poor Hitler. It explains so much. No.
Oh, my God.
No. So that's how Snape is.
Woof. Mary with the hot take right there. Wowza. All right.
Harry was chased by a dog. Boo-hoo.
the last thing I want to mention about Snape, because again, he's my favorite character, so I love talking about it, and that is, like, all right, listen, when it comes to Snape, there is this, like, Snape is trying to take care of Harry in a way, like he's saying, yeah, that's my job. Don't worry about this. Like, your dreams are not necessarily yours, okay? You're seeing all these things. I know it's exciting. I know it's like you have a way to finally get information. Yes, you walked through this door. Okay, great. But I'm telling you, this is my job. Let me do this thing. That's not yours. And really, he's right.
Yes.
He's right. If Harry just listened, there would be no issue at the end of this book. Sirius would still be alive. The irony of all of that is that Snape's words would have saved Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's kind of belittling Harry here and giving him the business,
he's telling him the truth.
He's telling him the truth. And this is one of the few instances where an adult in Harry's life is actually telling him the truth and actually giving it to him straight.
And it's generally Snape who does that.
Right. And like it ain't Dumbledore, and like Sirius, yes, but there's always like this tinge of like rosiness to it.
And this is why, thank God, Harry and Ginny have great reflection when they have a child and they name that child Albus Severus, because he is able to look back and be like, oh my gosh, that guy told me the truth.
Right.
He was a jerk.
Yep.
But also, how much do you need to be a jerk to make this all work?
You know, here's a percolating hot take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of out on Albus, it being named Albus. I'm kind of out on it.
Of course you would, Blake. We know.
Because
we know how you feel about Severus.
No, but it's not even about, like, I would rather it be Sirius, or I'd even rather it be James.
He had his first kid's named James.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
It can't be James, and then this is
but
also
whatever,
James.
then be Sirius.
Sharma.
Sharma.
Okay.
That's for you Bridgerton fans out there. I don't know. Dumbledore did Harry no freaking favors. None.
That's how we feel on this podcast, on this read through. I agree.
No favors. The naming rights, firmly out the window. Like, you got nothing.
I could picture Ginny being like, really?
Are you sure?
You know I'm about to give birth, right? That's what we're going to lead with?
You want to think about that one?
How about Michael Corner? How would you feel about that, Harry? Michael Corner Severus Potter.
Oh, good one, Mary.
There's my different perspective.
That's
Got
a
it done
different
with
perspective.
early.
I like it. All right, yeah, we got to close this one out because we do have a hard out. All right, I know we said it last episode. I promise we'll do it next episode. The listener feedback.
Yes.
I promise. We're getting more and more and more. The more that we keep
We need
delaying,
just a whole listener feedback episode. So
we might have to because we have so
Hey,
much.
you keep planning it when we have to pick up our kids.
I know.
Which we have to pick up our kids
All
now.
right, let's close this bad boy out, shall we? Here we go.
So. Thank you all so incredibly much for tuning in. Even though we haven't done our listener feedback for a while, I promise you we are going to be doing it. And you can email us at maryandblakemedia@gmail.com, or you can go to maryandblake.com. Click the upper right-hand corner for contact us. You can leave a voicemail feedback. You can find other ways to reach out to us there too. We would love to hear back from you. I promise. This is going to be the next thing. The next thing will be a listener feedback only episode.
Is that what we're doing?
I'm doing it.
Okay, we're going there.
There we are.
That's it. I mean, Mary's talking about Hitler. Now we're going straight to the listener feedback
You're welcome.
episodes.
You're welcome.
Man, coming from the clouds with that take.
Wouldn't change my mind if he got chased by a puppy. I tell you what, wouldn't change my mind.
You had to make up for the
Michael
non-take.
Corner Potter.
Michael Corner Potter.
So, on that note, thank you patrons at jointhenerdclan.com for keeping this and all of our free podcasts going for the world. We truly appreciate you. You keep the lights on. You keep these podcasts going. So we love you and we appreciate you and we are ever so grateful.
Yes.
My name is Mary.
My name is Blake.
Michael Corner.
You don't get into sympathy if you get chased by a dog from Mary. Tell you that.
No, I don't. What were you doing near Unleashed Dog? Okay. Get a clue. Mischief
Get a
managed.
clue. Get a clue, hippie.